Alright, folks, if you guys just tune in, DFYG has won game number 1 against Nightmare. Now, Nightmare has to win this one in order for them to even out the odds. But it looks like DFYG is second pick and Nightmare is still first pick.
That does change it up a little bit, right? Like, Cho is still good, but that means that you gotta pick it second to third. We haven't seen DFYG show that Cho in any manner. Obviously, the playstyle between the roamers are completely different in game number 1. I expect it to be as such. Maybe PC just don't feel as comfortable. So that's a minor advantage for Nightmare Esports.
Something that Nightmare can consider. Going up against a pick-off comp, something like a Kaja. Either have a very tanky front line, something like a Hylos can do wonders. And if you don't want that and you want to counter-engage, then you can start considering picks like the Edith.
That too, I definitely agree with those picks. Not only you have front line, but at the same time you provide a lot more control in these team fights. So the bans actually are not different at all, except for the Eve ban. Yeah. So they traded the Loyi for the Eve.
Yeah, I kind of feel like here the Khalid actually was still okay. Let's see here. Something that they can consider is that maybe don't pick up the Alpha because there's a chance that the Nolan can be picked up. Not saying that the Alpha is a bad pick, but perhaps Too Easy for Lexi is more of an assassin guy rather than a fighter guy.
Yeah, I think if you want to play faster, you have to start looking at Nolan. You have to start looking at Suyo in this case. They do take the Khalid first. I can get by with that. So I'm expecting a Phoveus pick once more for KelVJ. He has done wonders in game 1. In a way, I think Khalid, because you have the advantage to move early, it has to be a lot more prevalent for Oppa in that first few minutes, which was not present in game 1. But if you adjust that, I think it would be more manageable up against the Phoveus if it gets picked.
Yeah, honestly, like you pick up a very good point. The fact that we don't see the Khalid a lot does show that KelVJ not just win his lane, but he won it so hard.
Something went wrong, you know?
That the Khalid can't roam. So actually, you brought up a very good point in the previous conversation where KelVJ, we don't see him a lot on camera as well, but looks like he really controlled Oppers to the point where DFYG has 2 heroes that makes it a 4v5 or 3v5.
Yes. Yeah, Phoveus comes back. Vexana gets picked up as well. I do like this change. Now that the Yif is gone, you still have Vexana, which is sort of a control mage in her own way. That hero was banned out in game number 1 by DFYG themselves. So I do like this, right? Great early in the mid-game. Objective contest would be such a nightmare. Imagine playing 4v5, but what if it's a 6v5 right now because of that Eternal Guard?
I would say pick up the Nolan here if Too Easy for Lexi is comfortable of using it going up against DFYG, because Zed has shown that he is incredible on that Nolan. And if not, maybe pick up the Suyo. Show us what you got.
I think the only caveat with the Nolan is that you're playing into Vexana and Phoveus, right? You have to be pixel perfect with your movements. You gotta be able to track all these abilities. You get caught by a Dark Wave, you get caught by just even the Phoveus passive is lights out. So they go for the safer pick. We talk about the Cho coming for Jasmine. I do like this pick a lot more compared to the Matilda.
Yeah, and later on, DFYG, after showing more of the draft, maybe pick up something with a little bit more range for the mid lane. Because as strong as Valentina is, picking up that Eternal Guard, maybe something that can able to deal with Lung might be much better. Now Suyo is getting picked up, so they're looking at this Cho and they're looking at this Alpha. It's like, Nolan's not bad.
Yeah.
But Suyo's probably better.
Iframes, right?
Iframes,
Iframes make all the difference, and technically you are slightly more beefy in the immortal form. You got crowd control immunity with your Blade Surge and your Quell the Evil in the immortal form, of course. So I like the change from DFYG. They definitely put a lot of thought into how to deal with that Cho.
Interesting to see DFYG has picked up all the heroes that has been nerfed. But they're strong though, they're strong though.
Hey, I mean, if I win with these heroes, right, what else is stopping me?
If they win with these heroes, then Munda's like, okay, I guess it wasn't enough.
I mean, they did come up with a patch based off of like our public games, right? So you know, that's the difference, right? You buff Fanny because she doesn't have a high enough win rate in pub games. You look at pro games, my goodness, Fanny is perma-ban even when she's nerfed. So it really shows the big difference, the big contrast. I mean, the pro environment, we got the...
Yeah, let me just say, when I saw the Fanny got buffed, I laughed so hard that my neighbor complained, and then when I told my neighbor what happened, and then my neighbor laughed too.
Yeah, I saw the Fanny buff, and I asked my family, like, what do you think of this? My family was like, doesn't look good, and I'm like, you're correct.
Yeah.
Doesn't look good at all.
I asked my mom, and she's like, no.
It's a bad, well, it's not a bad choice, but it's interesting. Well, at least we won't be able to see her often anyway, so I mean, in pro games it doesn't really matter, but in pubs, yeah, now that's a premier banned hero. I feel like this Paramis ban though, it's very different from what, you know, Dianfeng Yaoguai have considered. They even banned a Valentina.
Okay, so both these mages are mid-range heroes, which is very interesting. So, I wonder if Long still wants the Bruno here, which according to data, it really should be.
Yeah.
So does Nightmare actually respects that and then ban out the Bruno?
I feel like you can consider, but it doesn't feel good enough.
Yeah.
Right? The Bruno can still take Purify, right? There's a Cho, sure, I can just take Purify and I can negate the
It doesn't feel good, but yeah, you can.
It doesn't feel good. Doesn't feel as good now that there's still like die potential. But it is a possibility. So they banned the Tigreal, which is a problem when you're running a Cho. You don't want to get sucked in by Implosion. Bruno, I feel like they could even leave Bruno for last. Oh, well, at least the Marksman for last, because you're on red side.
Yeah, for sure. But an argument can be made. You want to see the entire draft before choosing your roamer.
Kaja still doesn't feel that bad, right? If there's a Cho, sure, I can just pull you. Yep, Bruno comes back up, no surprise. So that's 4 nerf heroes. Was Bruno nerfed?
No,
okay, Bruno is not nerfed, but
hasn't
3
been
out of
changed,
4 of them has been nerfed.
The Beatrix, I feel like, was fine, but I just don't know if it's Cammy's type of hero, because Cammy so far uses a lot of magic-based heroes. Has been using the Natan a lot, has been using the Harriv and such. So his Beatrix is okay, but maybe if you still want that late game, maybe consider the Natan, something that you're a little bit more comfortable with.
It's a topic that we kind of brought up. We touched on just a bit in the pre-game, right? Like, does late game hero feel as good now that games end average faster? I know his preference is more towards mage and late game scaling heroes. Beatrix feels like a good balance in between, right?
Yeah.
Early to mid doesn't feel bad. Late game, absolute monster. It should be an Aurora pick for Nightmare. There's not really much choice left. The Kaja doesn't look too bad, honestly, even though there are Aurora and Cho.
I mean, here's the thing. The rules of using a cash composition is who gets there first. If the Cho kicks me, good game, I lose. If I catch Cho first, good game, I win. Do they want to play that game? If they don't want to play that game, they can go for something simple like a high loss. I was talking about the Edith. The Edith still works fine here. There's a lot of options for sure.
Actually, I'm digging the high loss, right? You have a guaranteed stun with the Law and Order. It's great against the 3 front lines of Nightmare Esports. It enables the Phovis so much more as well. Do they want to play that ego game? Let's see. For PCU. Yep. Wow, good call.
Yeah. Hyla's been picked up here so far for both teams. A very solid composition here, not seeing a lot of mistakes. It really is just about the execution, where Nightmare, this time with the Cho, they can start forcing a few more fights.
I'm not crazy, right? All 5 heroes.
You're not crazy.
I remember that something was up with Bruno, but I just can't put my finger on it. So all 5 of them were nerfed. Hey, yo.
Even if it's nerf, it's super strong. Technically, Husky, we can say everyone got nerfed because of the HP decrease.
Yeah, except for Marksman though. Marksman has always been that solid.
Oh yeah.
I mean, nerf is just a perspective. I mean, for high loss, it was banned in game 1.
It's all about mindset, Husky.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
You could say, like, the weaker you make my hero, the stronger I become. And now, speaking of becoming stronger, game number 2 between Nightmare against Dianfeng Yaoguai right now. Match point for DFYG. Can Nightmare equalize? Can they win this one? And then push us to game number 3. Welcome to the Land of Dawn.
I feel like we are already at the cusp of a fraction of history being made for the Chinese region just so because Denfeng Yaoguai might just get the first series win for the region overall on the international stage. We've seen game wins from KVG, but never a series in a 2-0 fashion against a team like Nightmare that's so decorated. That already feels like a big improvement from last time.
Yeah, now we can see KLVJ. This time we're actually looking at the laning phase, and he definitely has a better trade going up against the Khalid. The only thing is that the Khalid can heal up, so it's not that punishing.
Also looking at how much impact Jasmine has, right? Like, you're getting control so much, and it's so hard to walk up. If PCU had that Law and Order at level 2, that would potentially be a dead show. Forced to recall this early doesn't feel good at all.
Something to look at, actually. Nightmare Esports, 4 out of 5 members actually have Thrill in their emblem setup. So it does look like they want to be more aggressive in the early game. They want to make sure that they have a lot of base damage.
Hey, you know what to say, damage is king, right? That extra 18 adaptive damage at level 1. Oh, sweet, sweet numbers.
Yeah, and again, KLVJ, look at how he's moving around Opper. He's cutting the path. He knows where Opper is going to move, and he's like, I'm going to make sure I'm here first. You can't move forward. KLVJ is doing an amazing job as an EXP laner to make sure that one of the benefits of a Khalid is not being used.
When you go up against the Kings, you best not miss KLVJ. Like you said, literally a brick wall. Like, it's very rare that you see Khalid getting kind of stumped in this position. The Phobius gets to move first. That does not feel good.
Oh, yeah. Different rotation here. Looks like the roamer as well as the EXP actually absorbs the mid lane. So does this mean that E1 wants that EXP?
KLVJ is going to be 4. Retreat 5 goes too easy for Lexi. Will find the turtle. Avengers will not help KLVJ. First blood for Nightmare.
I don't know whether it was intended or not, but Yi1 wasn't level 4, which I feel like the EXP lane was open for him to absorb that minion wave. And again, I don't know if that's part of the plan, but I would imagine that they wanted Yi1 to get that level 4 first in the EXP and then join the fight around Turtle.
I agree. I think having the Eternal Guard is so much more valuable than maybe PCU getting that level 4 with the Glorious Pathway. It doesn't change much and doesn't help when Jasmine basically zoned out the Vexana from the fight. So now they get to kind of put that pressure on the top side. Get to freeze the turret a little bit. Long still taking that fight. Jasmine spotted out by PCU. Mid side, Yi1 getting gone on Eternal Guard drop. Jasmine even flickers but couldn't find the kick as Yi1 traced his.
Definitely a big change here where Nightmare Esports has more control around the map. They have more tempo, and the change of having this Cho really makes it very, very oppressive. And again, something that we might be able to study after this is the emblem setup. Everyone, I believe except Soso, has that thrill. So Cammy has early damage, Jasmine has early damage, Too Easy for Lexi has early damage, Opper as well has early damage, even though he's not able to utilize it going up against KLVJ. But so far, the strat looks good.
Yeah. And thankfully with Jasmine and Soso, they get to kind of negate the disadvantage that that Oppa has to kind of suffer in that early game, right? They're continuing to put pressure onto Long. It's not like PCU is on a Kaja, right? So now diving feels a bit better. And here comes 4-man die, Raging Sandstorm flicker into a kick. Purify gets used by Long, but the damage is just too much. Jasmine finds the takedown.
Yeah, not much that PCU can really do. Nightmare already starting off very, very good. The fact that Cammy is able to clear the wave that fast, now Cammy can join the turtle fight. So Denfeng Yaoguai, no matter what, is going to be a 5-man fight from Nightmare. Nightmare should be the ones to really control this this neutral objective. And now even Too Easy for Lexi has the War Axe.
And you see the difference between the Suyo and the Nolan, right? The burst from Suyo just not as much early on. They find the Terrify, KLVJ to the back, Retribution War. Again, not even close. Too Easy for Lexi finds the objective. Zed gets out, but Cellcade goes down again.
Good idea coming in from KLVJ, but Jasmine, he went to the back line making sure that no follow-up is going to be there.
Yeah.
We see the idea here from KLVJ is like, okay, we might not be able to get this turtle, but maybe we can get a kill.
Without the Eve, it is very different, right? Vexana, you use that Terrify or Eternal Guard, that utility goes right out the window. You have such a long cooldown in these early stage. So the control area of control for Denfeng Yaoguai definitely not as much as game 1.
Yeah, and I like what you brought up. Not having the Eve here, that also might be the big difference maker for Denfeng Yaoguai. Vexana is good, but it's definitely not a replacement for an Eve.
Yeah, it's kind of like a budget Eve. I would even say Aurora kind of feels slightly better in certain regards, right? If you have a Cho that's running at you, I definitely feel like Aurora makes a bit more difference. They drop the Eternal Guard onto Jasmine, who is just soaking it up. KelVJ blocking out Yi1. He doesn't have... Oh, he has to use Flicker, actually, to get out of that. That would have been pretty deadly. Commit the full combo onto KelVJ. Not getting much. Jasmine goes in, looks for the knockup. Jikundo gets it. KelVJ re-engages. PC Law in order. The verdict being Jasmine's demise. KelVJ pulls vengeance, but the damage from Cammy gives him a double kill.
Yeah, and this is where we see the priority lies with Cammy. Cammy was all alone in the bottom lane, Husky. He could have stayed there. He could have for sure grabbed that objective. But this is the teamwork of Nightmare Esports. He rotated mid, get those kills, and able to get the mid lane. And now he might even get this bottom lane as well.
It feels so much better. It feels so good when your roamer is able to set up and tank damage, not like a Matilda that just gets blown up in an instant. Too easy for Lexi. He's one level ahead. Oppa now gets the pressure along. Obviously not much, right? This Bruno still hurts like a truck. Has to be very careful with how he moves. And with this Bruno out of commission for now, Nightmare Esports gets to move around a lot more.
By the way, can I just shout out the... Right now we have the trophy in the Land of Dawn.
Oh yeah.
Right, when Bruno was fighting against Opera, I saw that at the side. Oh, hold on. DCU taking a lot of damage.
It's a good Law and Order to stop the kick. Jasmine out of position. This KelVJ takes him out. Oppa from the corner. Yeah, Long is almost walked up to it. Oppa will just go on to him. Long will fight back, uses the Wordy, but keeps his Purify. So it's not that bad for Dianfeng Yaoguai.
Looks like the idea for both EXP laners, KelVJ as well as Opera, is just like man-to-man defense. Don't let whoever you're assigned to move around the map. KelVJ stopped Opera, and this time Opera is going to stop Long. He's going to make sure that Opera will die, but Long is nowhere near the fight.
I would argue stopping the choke is so much important. Too easy for Lexi gets the third turtle again. And KelVJ, he's so deep in the Revitalize, not in range to save him. So Cammy on the killing spree.
All the while, Opera was on to Yi1. Yi1 was not a part of that fight just because Opera was able to find him in the back line and then push him away. And Yi1, his playstyle is very, very safe. He's going to make sure that he doesn't die. And Opera exploited that.
I think that the downside right now, or at least how Dianfeng Yaoguai has been playing, there's no one to peel for Yi1. It's not like game 1 where you have a Kaja, we have a Phoveus that can focus on the back. They get a 3-man knockout with Eternal Guard. That is huge. But where's the damage? Jasmine finds the kick into the wall though, so got a Flicker to get away. A disengage coming out from Nightmare on the top side. But going back to what I was saying, your Roma, the high loss, he's so focused on trying to dive with KelVJ that E1 has to fend for himself, and it's never going to feel good.
Right now, Zed going up against Opera. Opera taking quite a bit of damage, but again, Opera is building defense, so this should not be a problem for him. Looking at the itemization here, Opera, even though only has the Thunder Belt, by this time he should be able to have maybe 7 or 8 stacks. So he has quite a bit of defense here. Other itemizations as well, we can already see that Cammy, 8 minutes in, already having 2 items, the Blade of Despair as well as the Malefic Gun, compared to the Bruno also having 2 items, the Hot Claw as well as the Berserker Fury. The damage is there, the range is not there for the Bruno just yet.
Part of me feels like Dianfeng Yaoguai might need to change the approach to the fight a little bit. Instead of trying to dive the backline and lock them out, you might want to consider peeling for both Long and Yi1. Like, if you stop Jasmine, there is going to be Alpha, right? So there's more than one target that is going to constantly threaten this Vexan that's so important to your team fight. They're going to jump onto So. Jasmine from the back. PC will eat all of it up. KelVJ finds the mid laner, but unfortunately, no kills just yet. Long onto Jasmine, who will use the shuttle away. KelVJ finds the kill onto So. Long now threatened, but PC will just use his body to block it up. Jasmine tries to go for the kick onto Yi1, but Long is saved, and this time, KelVJ is able to stall out the fight.
Dude, it was good by Yi1 as well. As long, did you see how they managed all this dive coming in from Nightmare?
Yeah.
Jasmine tried to kick them.
That's exactly what you need to do, right? Peel for the backline, stop the dive. The difference is there. Flicker into Raging Sandstorm. Long is now the target. Tries to heal up with the Heart's Claw. It's still a 1-for-1 trade. Can they take this Lord though? Too easy for Lexi. He has Cammy with him, but he's so low. An attempted steal, not done. Zed will not win that Nightmare with Lord.
Cammy this time is having a much better game. 4-0-3. Damage dealt. Yi1 still at the top. Surprisingly, 33,000 damage dealt. Even though Yi1, more often than not, gets zoned out quite far away from the team fight. So, Yi1, if he has a good setup.
Oh, yeah.
If Yi1 and Long is not touched, is going to be good for DFYG. Right now, let's look at the instant replay here, even though it looks like a fight is about to start. But look at Yi-Wan. He saw that Jasmine wanted to go for him, so he was able to control him first. And that's the big difference. If Jasmine instantly gets the Vexana, probably a different fight.
I would say the focus right now is who can peel for the backline better, right? Like that fight, no one was peeling DFYG off the rest of Nightmare's backline. That's why he's just jumping around with the Infernal Pursuit. Jasmine, flicker kick onto P-Steel, they just burst him. This high loss, not part of the fight anymore. The Lord still coming in from the bot side. DFYG will have to wait for 20 seconds.
Feels good. Feels good for Nightmare there, where when you get a high loss and you can burst him down that fast, it gives you this confidence that you can fight against anyone. But at this point, Nightmare, they probably just want that holy defense, and they got it, and now they should retreat.
So the good news for DFYG is that they keep inhibitors alive. They are almost 7k behind. Another thing is, Long, he needs that Malefic Gun as soon as possible. We see the difference that it doesn't feel good, like you pointed out, if you take Purify on Bruno, but it's a necessity in this game. But without the Flicker, oh boy, any Raging Sandstorm Flicker from Oppa is gonna clip him. And he needs that Malefic Gun, he needs it so fast, but he's so far from it. Oh wow, he just got it, wow. Not as far as I thought.
Right now, the Wind of Nature coming in from Cammy is going to make it much more difficult for Zed and Long to actually get that kill. So this is a very big difference.
Yeah.
Over 2,000 difference between Cammy and Long. Even if Long gets free hit over to Cammy, which, judging by the range of the Beatrix, will be very rare to happen, he has to be careful. If he just tunnel visions and just basic attacks all the way and not notice that Wind of Nature, that could be the game-ending fight for DFYG.
How fast can you force it out is also a question. It spells a bit of problem for DFYG because you dive onto Cammy, but we saw the impact of Nightmare Esports burst damage, right? You get caught once and you just disappear thanks to Banner's Rage. You even get the Demon Hunter Sword, so good luck being a tank if you are DFYG.
Right now, I'm just looking at how they're going to win this one. But Nightmare so far, Husky has been playing very clean. Almost 7,000 gold advantage. Cammy hasn't died at all. And too easy for Lexi this time. He's able to start the fight. It's amazing. But able to peel for his backline as well. This is a different Nightmare Esports from game number 1.
Yeah, but you don't have to constantly be the first one to go in. It always feels good. Jasmine wants to look for the kick, couldn't find it, but it's good enough for the team to get the Lord. And now Nightmare Esports have an angle to go in. E1, he is so split up. Flickers away to get to safety. The freeze from So takes out E1. And DFYG on the run. DFYG with the vengeance to the back. Can't even get Jasmine. That's unstoppable for too easy for Lexi. 3 kills for Nightmare.
Yeah, right now DFYG, it's hard to say this, but they already got to think about game number 3 because Nightmare Esports is almost 10,000 gold ahead. And against a Beatrix, one of the best scalers in the game, this is not what you want to see. And now it looks like they want to go in mid.
Maybe one last chance for DFYG, but can they hold on for 5 seconds? So P-Steel will use the Glorious Power to slow down the minion wave and keep himself alive. But Cammy almost finding it. Jasmine just flickers for it. Get rid of the front line, finds the kick on the E1. Jasmine sets it up. And Long will have to back off. 2 inhibitors down, but bottom one will fall thanks to the Lord. And Nightmare Esports showing their true form Awaken. After game number 1, DFYG will put up a final defense, but it is futile as Laos will continue this run in the first BO3. We find the equalizer.
The moment the kick connects on the Vexana Husky, that's game over. Your wave clearer is done. It's out of the picture. They can end the game, and that's what they did. This time, with the Cho, they have a much more confident draft.
Yeah, we saw just the most minuscule of differences. Cho instead of Matilda onto Jasmine, the signature pick, but also the shift in ban. First game, Nightmare banned Lo Yi. Yi went through and it was a nightmare for them, but now they ban Yi first phase. That Vexana just doesn't feel as good.
Yeah, right now, DFYG, they really got to figure this out because this is the very first game of the Wildcard Husky, and we're going to all 3 games. And I would say both games were very dominant, which really shapes out our meta right now. Whoever gets that snowball going, hard for you to stop them. Really hard for you to stop them.
Yeah, incredibly tough. I came here today.
I came as well. Yeah.
So someone asked me, like what are my expectations? And I said that I want all 3 games, and for 2 different reasons. First of all, we don't get to see these teams often, so
Of
I
course,
want
yeah.
them to have the full experience, and also for everyone else out there. But at the same time, I feel like because you only play a single round robin, you gotta be able to push yourself to the limit and your opponents. And for a part of me, I'm looking at Denfeng Yaoguai. Will the Chinese region fall short again of a series win now that Nightmare Esports have found the momentum?
Something that I do have to say, Husky, as well, is that when you look at Nightmare, Kemi had an amazing game, but no one from Nightmare really stood out that much. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. That shows how they play as a team, make sure that everyone does their job well, to the point where it doesn't look like, oh, this single person carried everything. No, we don't see that, right?
Yeah.
Opera did his job by having all this crazy engage, and then once he starts to engage, Soul traps everyone in ice, and then everyone else just deals damage.
Yeah, that, and of course, you still have to kind of give credit to how Jasmine is able to set it up. I think the crucial point as we